Well, the future King of England took time to meet with King James, as he calls himself. LeBron James again demonstrates social conscience with I Can't Breathe shirt. And I've got the photo of him here meeting with Prince Charles's son and his cute little wife that we're all supposed to love and buy into and get little royal coffee cups. And to add insult to injury, the article's up on Infowars.com. Piers Morgan has come out and said that America needs a monarch. Says Obama will thankfully bow and scrape at feet of royals. I don't think Obama has found royals that he doesn't bow to. That story is up on Infowars.com with the full quote by Piers Morgan, who'd already seen his ratings slide in the year he took over from Larry King. But after I went on there 2 years ago, he was just annihilated. And they now admit in major publications like the LA Times and others that his slide began when I got in his face and said, "You are a traitor, here to enslave us and disarm us. It's not about children's safety. I will not have your fake debate." And, of course, a lot of the weasels and cowards out there at first said, how discrediting of Alex Jones. He should have talked in a proper British accent back to him and debated him on his field instead of going all the way over him. How un-American to get in someone's face. Yeah, that's right. Paul Revere would have just pulled out a blunderbuss, shoved it in his chest, and pulled the trigger. I am a weak little weasel compared to Paul Revere. And then you've got Americans mad at me that I dare go, look, it's about taking our guns. You know it is, and you're on notice. You try to take them, 1776 will commence again, scumbag. But the truth is, most Americans got it. It resonated, and it was like the Emperor's New Clothes being announced, or he's caught with his hand in the cookie jar, or Toto pulls back the curtain. Everybody went, whoa, we're here being lectured by a sycophantic, royal-worshipping twit who's got armed bodyguards at his home in L.A. about how we shouldn't have guns. We're done. And it wasn't just that one interview. He doubled down and brought a train of people on to basically excoriate him as well, and the whole tone changed. And now there's a lot of analysis out there that began the final implosion of CNN from being number 2 on cable behind Fox to now being way in the end and essentially no longer exist. They're just keeping it on the air to save face for Time Warner for its stock. It's gone. It's being dumped off cable all over the place, dumped off different satellite systems. It's a joke. And have they stopped? No, they've increased the royal coverage. Oh, the royal carriage. Almost every time I see CNN, it's the Queen of England, gracious leader. Oh, we love you. They'll have that British reporter on going, they're probably having pea soup and something proper meal. And again, I'm not an Anglophobe, ladies and gentlemen. I love England. Love a lot of the culture. It's amazing. Led with the Magna Carta and the real Renaissance worldwide. So much has come out of the British Isles, but not the globalist and the Transylvanian royal family perched like giant stinking vultures on the carcass of the UK. But I'll tell you who's into royalty. Scum. Narcissistic pimps. That's why so many of the gangster, hip-hop, mindless rappers will call themselves, Prince this, King that, the God this, the God that, King James, all this arrogance. And, of course, you'll find King James meeting with Prince Turdley or whatever his name is. And don't worry, Obama has met with the Prince. Oh, the graciousness of it. Sorry, I need to get into news here. Prince William and Duchess Kate kick off U.S. trips with visit to White House. Almost anybody who's got a last name like Gresham or a last name like Jones or there's a whole. If you know somebody that's got a name like that, or a whole bunch of names, has some connection back to royalty in England. But there've been a whole bunch of royal houses there. There's been, of course, the Anglo-Saxons, and then the Norman that took over in 1100, and all the subsequent things that happened. But when you look at this group of people, nothing against Romanians or Germans, but they're not even British. That's what's so frustrating. That's what's so nauseating about it. At least the little bit of royalty I'm connected to, got into the royal house by being in battles and chopping people's heads off and defending the king and stuff like that. And at least I can trace back my lineage to nobility in England, but they all got there from killing people in battles, not by being Transylvanians. Of course, the Transylvanians got there because it ended up leveraging all of Europe to keep the Muslim invasions down, starting with Vlad the Impaler. So I guess they got there from violence as well. But it's just everyone's stepping and fetching to inbred, mentally ill, degenerate royalty. Makes me want to throw up. Absolutely, totally disgusting on so many fronts. Looking at the photos and videos of Obama meets with Prince William. Who cares? It's embarrassing. I love all the people that have refused the knighthoods, like Stephen Hawking and so many others. I think it's a badge of being absolutely pathetic when you do that. But don't worry, LeBron was honored to play before the Royals. These people think we're so stupid. And I'll tell you something. Being chumped and being into royalty because of all the made-for-TV shows and movies, and when I'm at the grocery store at the checkout line, there's almost always 2 or 3 magazines about the royals that women buy. Let me tell you my litmus test for a woman. If she likes royal families and wants the teacups and stuff other than a joke, something's wrong with them. But it's Anglophile brainwashing that's gone on in this country for 100 years. You know the Thurston Howell III fake accent from Gilligan's Island that Thurston Howell, I love you, have some champagne. That is the Atlantic accent that's about 150 years old, where the blue bloods that got their money from British industrialists mainly would go to classes to readopt a British American-style Atlantic accent to be accepted into British royal houses, and they would end up having homes in London and living there half the time. So there was a major recolonization of our republic with this British royalty Anglophile crap. People get tired of Israel trying to manipulate the internal activities of the U.S., and I don't like it, and I criticize it. But does anyone talk about the British colonization? And I don't mean of the British people, of that thing, that monarchy and the big banks and the city of London that owns much of our Federal Reserve. You want to know who wrote Obamacare? These people. They want to run our lives. They want to tell us what we can eat, where we can go, what we can do. It's the model. And they're bad news, ladies and gentlemen. Extremely bad news. Now, that said, let's go ahead and get into another big con, Jonathan Gruber. We've got a whole bunch of these clips. I wonder which one we should go to first. Maybe we should go to Gruber saying he's not the architect and an apology. And then we're going to put a mashup together for the nightly news tonight that'll air tomorrow on the radio show, where we're going to show where he says he's the architect, where Obama says he's an architect, where Pelosi says he's an architect, where Harry Reid says he's an architect, and then Obama saying he never was the architect, doesn't know him, and then saying how he steals everything from him. We're going to really be able to show the fraud here. Because, see, they want us to just give up and accept the fraud and go, okay, you've been lied to 1,000 times. Why not 1,000 times more? No, we're going to always celebrate your lies, celebrate trampling you and showing how pathetic you are. You want us to just give up and roll over. This is a death battle politically. We're not going to give up. That's who wins the fight. who has the moral authority and who won't give up. George Washington, for 7 years, lost almost every battle, but wouldn't give up and won the war. Perseverance is power. Never giving in. Having will. Setting your will against the globalists. If you just spiritually ask God to use you as a vessel and set your will against the New World Order, your life will change just like that. It's a free will decision. You want to know how to fight tyranny? Ask God. You want to know how to stand up and how to reclaim your life and your children? Ask God. Say, I'm willing to do whatever you direct me to do. I turn myself over to you via free will. The world doesn't do that. The world creeps in and wants to take over your free will and get you to accept it by increment. Not the God of the universe. You've got to want it. Now let's go to Gruber, the arrogant sycophant, the Harvard, tactician now at MIT who bragged that I met behind closed doors and they said we can't let the public know it increases prices and it penalizes healthy people. And so what we did is we deceived them, and then he adopted my plan. And the other academics look at him nodding approvingly. Oh, the technology of lying and being disreputable. And now they replace old lies with new, as Gruber denies that he's an architect and apologizes for his hateful arrogance, endangering the foreign bank's attempt to finally break America's back. Here it is. Let's hit pause. If he later got indicted by a grand jury, which he may be for fraud, they'll say, oh, I'm not the architect. I did not draft it. And they'll come out that there were a bunch of lawyers, like Thomas Jefferson drafted the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights. But by drafted, they had a bunch of people there together. He came up with it after they agreed on the basic architecture. So, we don't know who the Thomas Jefferson was of this monstrosity. But Gruber came up with a bunch of the key fake numbers for Congress and how to screw job people. And he bragged about it. So, see, that's his lawyer speak right there. Let's go back to the start and here. And if you're a radio listener, you got to see how he looks. Go to Infowars.com/show to see the little weasel there falling on his sword for bragging in front of the slaves. Here it is.
I did not draft Governor Romney's health plan, and I was not the architect of President Obama's health care plan. After the passage of the ACA, I made a series of speeches endeavoring to explain the law's implications for the U.S. healthcare system from the perspective of a trained economist.
Let's hit pause. He gave speeches to Democrat policy wonks and professors on how to declare war and engage in deception and fraud. You are a general teaching the PhD students and the other professors how to better mob rape America and screw over poor people. Let's just decipher what you just said, you little piece of garbage. Let's go back to him.
Over the past few weeks, a number of videos have emerged from these appearances. In excerpts of these videos, I'm shown making a series of glib, thoughtless, and sometimes downright insulting comments.
Let's hit pause. They weren't glib. They weren't thoughtless. You were bragging about how you ran a major campaign against America and successfully shoved a dagger right in our main aorta. And now they want to fully yank it through and terminate us for good. We're trying to pull the knife out and get that aorta sutured. And we're using your evil as a way to get the energy to pull the knife back out and to get in there. And they're fighting to, no, don't pull it out. Drag it down through. Finish the job. What did you do, Gruber? We almost had them chained down. You torture the enemy once they're chained down, Gruber. Don't brag until we've got them, till we've got their guns, Gruber. Then we celebrate. Let's go back to him.
I apologize for the first of these videos earlier, but the ongoing attention paid to these videos has made me realize that a fuller accounting is necessary. In some cases, I made uninformed and glib comments about the political process behind healthcare reform.
Is that his wife behind him?
In other cases, I simply made mean and insulting comments which are uncalled for in any context.
Oh, that's enough. That's enough. Let's play a clip of Obama talking about how wonderful Gruber is and how he has liberally taken from him. Let's go to that clip.
You've already drawn some of the brightest minds from academia and policy circles. Many of them I've stolen ideas from liberally. John Gruber, my dear friend Jim Wallace here, who can talk, I think, who can inform what are sometimes dry policy debates with a prophetic voice.
All right, let's go to the really powerful ones coming up. But Gruber to critics, I spoke against my expertise. No, you bragged about in all these closed-door meetings with the president deciding how to deceive people, and you wrote a report to Congress so that you think, by the way, Weasel, do you really think you deceived a bunch of lawyers in Congress? They needed you to write the fraudulent report so they could lie to their constituents and act like they didn't know. You really think you deceived that pack of devils in Congress, you little moron? Let's go, you fool. You were dumb enough to write the fraudulent report for them so they could play stupid.
My question is this. Sitting here today, what do you say to those people who are trying to eliminate the ACA and who are quoting your statements as a reason to repeal health care for millions of Americans and many of my constituents?
The real enemy here is Cummings, who knows full well it's a giant screw job, massively makes blacks even more unemployed, payroll taxes, everything. He wants to lie and say you're getting some free health care here. See, that's the real devil. He's smart enough not to certify some fraudulent report. He has Gruber do it. Let's go out to break with Gruber.
I would say that I made a series of inexcusable and offensive comments where I conjectured with a tone of expertise to try to make myself seem smarter by demeaning others.
No.
And I apologize for that.
You acted just like Zuckerberg,
as a private
calling
citizen,
his users dumb effers.
Not a political advisor. My flaws.
You had a public celebration of your evil. We're going to go to break, ladies and gentlemen, and come back with more of Herr Gruber falling on his sword. We are back live. By the way, New Year's is coming up, and with the holidays and all the overeating and things that go on, oxy powder now more than ever is so essential. Now, you can do a cleanse and take 5 to 7 tablets a day of the time-released special type of oxygen that flushes out your intestines, upper and lower, large and small. Or you can just take it every couple of days, a few tablets, like a lot of people do, and it will have dramatic effects. Everybody that takes it has dramatic effects. We have it available from Global Healing Center at the lowest price at InfoWarsStore.com or InfoWarsLife.com. And we have a lot of it in stock now. We had been neck and neck, almost selling out of it, so had Dr. Group. But we now have quite a bit of it in. And again, that is oxy powder. I wouldn't wait till the new year to start cleansing. And of course, the gut's the key to the immune system as well. InfoWarsLife.com. And then in the new year, you can do another big cleanse. On average, you got about 3 cleanses per bottle. Rob Dew did it for 7 days. And what did he say? He lost 18 pounds? 17, 18 pounds? Sometimes it's more dramatic because it's just all that stuff in your guts. InfoWarsLife.com. It's not a bunch of hardcore herbs that can burn you or feel bad or have other side effects. It's just a special type of proprietary oxygen that is time-released in the intestines and just scrubs and flushes everything out. InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. We are sold out of the Secret 12 proprietary vitamin B12, but it looks like we may get some in next week. In fact, they're finishing it up today, and so you may be able to order that still in time for Christmas. And your support of the broadcast by purchasing these products obviously funds the entire operation. 888-253-3139 or InfoWarsLife.com or InfoWarsStore.com. All right, before we go any further, let's just go out to break as we start the next hour looking at the UN treaty, gun grab, and more. We'll also look at the Pacific Partnership and a lot of other unconstitutional power grabs with investigative journalist from the New American Magazine who's going to be joining us. And we'll also open the phones up. But first, let's go out with a clip of Gruber doesn't recall past statements. Here's a little bit of him being grilled this morning.
This is not a conjecture, Mr. Gruber. I mean, conjecture is, I believe it may have been, someone may have been thinking, perhaps they were. This is your straight-up statements. These are not conjecture. Is it your purpose today to recant Obamacare as a tax?
It is my purpose today to elaborate and straighten out the interpretation of a series of comments that I made and to apologize.
Excellent. Let's do that then. Let's clarify it. Mr. Gruber, you made these statements, did you not?
I don't recall exactly, but...
You don't recall? Now, one of them we actually saw on video. Do you recall that one?
Yeah.
I can't imagine how you don't recall your own statements because the American voter has seen them over and over again as you've called them stupid. Do you deny making these statements, Mr. Gruber, even though you don't recall them? Do you deny calling Obamacare a tax?
If you're reading my actual quotes, then I don't deny it. I don't have.
I am reading your actual quotes.
Then I don't deny it.
Okay, so you're not here to recant it or to deny it.
I'm here to explain that a number of those comments were made in a tone of expertise that I don't have when I was talking about
Mr. Gruber, do you know what a tax is? I mean, you do have, expertise in economics. Do you know what a tax is?
Yes.
Okay. So you would not deny today that in these statements that you made that Obamacare is a tax, would you?
Obamacare is a large piece of legislation with many parts.
We're going to come back, folks, with a second hour straight ahead. More of this as well. Stay with us. Globalist social engineers are not just targeting us with propaganda. They are manipulating our genetics. We are being targeted at every level by estrogen mimickers that lower our testosterone and other hormones and natural compounds that the body needs. After consulting top doctors, nutritionists, pharmacists, and others, we have developed what I believe is the ultimate non-GMO organic super male vitality formula sourced from powerful organic herbs and then concentrated for maximum potency. Super Male Vitality was developed to activate your body's own natural processes instead of using synthetic chemicals. Super Male Vitality by InfoWars Life is so powerful that I only take half the recommended dose. For a limited time, we are offering 15% off Super Male Vitality at InfoWarsLife.com to introduce you to this powerful supplement. Visit InfoWarsLife.com today to secure your Super Male Vitality. InfoWarsLife.com.